welcome back to my channel. It's been a while. Um, Today's video is going to be all about dodging and burning, and I'm going to make it as simple and as easy for you as possible, especially if you're just first starting out or if you're looking for new ways to dodge and burn. So I think the most popular way to dodge and burn is with curves, and that's what I use. That's usually, actually, it's always my next step after like cleaning up the picture with like the healing brush and the clone stamp tool, and all those other things. And then I move on to dodge and burn. So I already went ahead and cleaned up the image. I'll just zoom in like a little bit. And I just did everything on one layer. I didn't really do like a whole lot. That's before and that's after. I know if I zoom in a lot closer, you'll be able to see like a lot more. And I hope Nico doesn't kill me for doing that. But this is for educational purposes. No one is perfect in camera and everything's fine, okay? So I'm ready to dodge and burn. This is what I'm going to do. And I'm going to be like very specific about this, so just try to like bear with me. If you have any questions, you can like drop a comment. Go down to your adjustment layers and click on curves. I'm going to make a dodge layer, and instead of just like doing like this number, hold on, let me move him like over here. Okay, and I'm gonna double click on that to open that up. Instead of just doing this and calling it a day and like inverting it, I do these very specifically, and I'm going to tell you why. I mean, the biggest reason is being consistent. You want everything to look the same. You want your brush strokes to like be the same over your dodge and your burn layers. So I'm going to set my input. These numbers just represent like where the point is like on the graph. So input 110 and output is 142, and you see where it lands that curve on the graph. So it's up from this center line right here, which means you're making the image brighter. So dodging is brightening and burning is darkening. So 110, 142, this is good. I'm going to leave this right where it is. And I'm going to click on this layer mask and Command or Control I. I'm on a Mac, so it's Command I for me. And you're going to invert it, and it's going to hide this layer. But it's still there. You just have to use a brush to mask it out, and then it will start to show, if that makes any sense. So it's inverted. I'm going to name this dodge. I just do all caps. I don't know why. I just do. And then we're going to make another one for burn. So do the same exact thing, adjustment layer, curves. You can kind of click wherever you want to on the graph. And you remember how we did 110 to 142? We're going to do the exact opposite. 142 over 110. So now your dodge and your burn layers are the exact same distance from that middle line on the curve. So consistency, I think, is key. I don't know if anybody else does this. This is just what I do. It works best for me. You can do whatever you want, whatever works best for you, So we'll take this, invert this also, Command or Control I, and I'm just going to name this burn. And then this is already highlighted. I'm going to hold down Shift and click on dodge and Command or Control G to put them in a group. And you can name this dodge and burn or DB or, whatever you want. So these layers are already set up. Your brush is very important. Also, B for your brush tool. If you look up at opacity and flow, hold on, I have to get a drink of water. Opacity and flow, I do not use a 100% flow ever unless I absolutely need to. So for starters, I usually start with a 2% flow, and my pin pressure, this thing is turned off. If it's like highlighted or something, unhighlight it. I have that turned off. Smoothing is set to 0. Opacity, I keep it 100. My mode is normal. And if you open up your brush settings, my hardness is set to 0. And my size varies. It doesn't really like matter. I usually make the size of the brush depending on the area that I'm working on. And I do change my brush size with the Q and W keys because I'm right-handed. But I think it's like the open and close brackets to change the size. But yeah, that's how I have that set up. Super simple, and I even have like my tool presets and stuff over here. So these are literally like all the tools that like I use. This is how I retouch my pictures. This is it. Dodge and burn 2% flow. Sometimes I do drop it down to 1% just for like a little bit less of a buildup. I kind of usually do that as I'm like almost done dodging and burning. So I have my brush ready. My brush is good to go. Now hold on. Let me go back to my hand tool. Now this picture is in color. I think the picture looks beautiful as it is, but when you put pictures in black and white, what do? You remove the color. So you only see the differences in luminosity or the differences in how bright or how dark certain areas of your picture are. And we're going to use black and white to our advantage to see the areas of the skin that we can clean up and make this look really nice. So above your dodge and burn layers, there are a couple ways to do this. You can convert it to black and white however you want. Desaturate it completely. Use the black and white adjustment thing. I usually just do a solid color and choose black, click OK, and then if you change this blend mode to color, it changes it to black and white. But there's like 1,000,001 ways to do one thing in Photoshop. It doesn't matter how you do it, just as long as you get just a basic plain black and white image. And then I'm going to create a curve layer, and I'm not going to do anything with that just yet, but it's going to be used to create contrast. So I'm going to group these, shift and click, and then command or control G, and you can kind of name this, help or visual aid, whatever. So I'm going to open up this curve layer, and I usually start by dodging. So I kind of want to see the really dark areas of the photo because I want to obviously brighten up some of the dark areas. So I want to see both the brightest areas and the darkest areas of the image. And up here in the top right hand corner is your white point, which is the brightest area of your photo, or areas, whatever. And I usually just click and kind of drag wherever. It really does depend on the image, so you kind of have to mess with it and get that contrast that you want so that you're able to see all of these areas. I think this is a good starting point, but I do change the contrast of the image throughout my entire dodge and burn process. And I also don't do all my dodging and burning on just these two layers. You can make as many layers as you want. So it's a good idea to create actions for a single dodge and a single burn layer so that you can just keep making them and make however many as you want until you get to a point where you're satisfied with how your image looks. So I'm going to go back to my brush tool as soon as I move him. Okay, brush tool, 2% flow, 100% opacity. Hardness is 0. Right now my size is like 50. It's a good idea to kind of start from further out, but I have really bad eyesight, so I find myself like zooming in all the time because I'm like, what? I can't see anything. Okay, so I don't know if you're able to tell the areas, what needs to be dodged, what needs to be burned. I'm going to show you. Okay, I am using a Wacom tablet. If you do not have a Wacom, whatever, I don't care. I highly suggest like getting one. You can get them for like even like less than $100. I did upgrade to like the Intuos Pro Small. Was definitely worth the investment. So if you don't have one, I highly suggest like getting one. Okay. So usually where I start is, and everybody has these, is under the eye. Everyone's got bags under their eyes. It's nothing to be ashamed of. It doesn't make you look ugly. It's a human thing, okay? So I'm not going to completely like remove anything from under his eye because I don't want to make him look fake. So like this shadow right here, like directly like on his eyelid, I don't want to really remove that. You can lighten it up just like a little bit by just doing like a few brush strokes if you wanted to. But if you remove that shadow right there, you're going to make him look like a porcelain doll, and humans do not look like porcelain dolls. But this area here specifically is something that we can lighten up. Now our flow is pretty low, So it's not going to be like an immediate buildup. And I'm kind of just doing a few brush strokes and I'm letting up my pen on the tablet. So just like a little bit at a time over the darker areas. And I do rotate my picture. You can hold down your R key and kind of rotate whatever helps you like see better or like retouch better. It's easier to kind of like retouch like up and down than like side to side. I just feel like it's a lot more accurate. So you can kind of just play around with your image and kind of do whatever you want to do. So just a few brush strokes here and there. And I'm not going to take this like all the way. I just kind of want to give you a good idea of what this can do. So I'm going to zoom into that area that I kind of was just dodging a little bit, and I'll turn it off. And you can see that. And then we can turn off our help layers, and we can see how that looks in color. And if we zoom out some, it looks. So we lightened up that shadow just right under his eyelid like a little bit. Okay, it's before and this after. Let's turn these back on and let's go into like other areas. Now highlights and shadows do fall on specific places on the human face because bone structure is a thing. So I don't really want to like remove any, like I don't want to really mess with this, like this big highlight on his forehead that belongs there. That's where like his bones are and everything. But these little shadows right here, you can kind of go through and like lighten those up like a little bit and maybe kind of like do some dodging like within them just on those super, super small areas. And what you're doing by doing that is kind of just evening out, like pretty much smoothing out transitions, evening things out. And it just makes it look pretty clean. And this is called like, this is non-destructive retouching. I'm not touching the actual file. I'm not like manipulating his skin. I'm basically just, doing some lightening and darkening throughout the skin. And it just makes for a really, really nice, clean image. This is my favorite retouching technique ever. So if you saw that like line that I kind of just like got rid of, so I smoothed that out. And so that's before and this is after. And it didn't take that long, so just a few brush strokes. And in some areas you can kind of see like the buildup. But definitely like try not to like take it too far, otherwise you're gonna start noticing things. So I am kind of just like floating around the image a little bit. You can definitely see some like darker spots up here. You can kind of just do a few brush strokes over this. Maybe get that line real quick. And then maybe a little bit of that. And then some of this. How about that little guy right there? Okay. Now as I go, I usually do most dodging first. If I see an area that like can be burned, I'll like go ahead and do it real quick. I don't know if you see it. It's right here. I'm gonna zoom in really, really close. See this kind of like brighter spot, like right here. Yeah, you can kind of just go, I'm just gonna go ahead and like do a few like burn strokes within that. And it did a pretty good job of like just evening out that area. Okay, I'm back on my dodge layer now. And I'm gonna do a few more here. Yeah, if I can zoom out, maybe I'll do a little bit more of this other eye underneath of his eye. And then a little right here. Now this like darker area right here, like coming across his cheek, supposed to be there. I think if you get rid of it, it looks unnatural. If your rotate thing, if it looks like this, it's stuck on rotate. So make sure that you're hitting the B key to go back to your brush tool. You can also use this technique to kind of just do a few brush strokes over the eyes, and it'll brighten up the eyes a little bit. And again, you can keep making as many dodge layers, as many burn layers as you want, and go over the eyes until they look like something that you just want to keep. I also do use this to enhance highlights that are already there. So like these natural highlights and shadows like on his upper lip, I can just, go over that with my dodge and burn and kind of brighten up those areas, and it does add a little bit more depth, like to his face and the entire picture. One thing that is pretty hard is retouching hands. You don't really have to, go into so much detail on the hands because I think, other body parts, it's pretty easy to kind of make them look unnatural. So you can just do like a little bit on the hands, just to kind of like smooth some things out. Maybe do a little bit of dodging and burning over the knuckles where these shadows are kind of falling. We'll do a little bit on the other hand. There's a dark area right here. You can kind of just like even that out a little bit. One thing that I also do is we'll just come back in through here and do this. Brighten up that highlight. Maybe just do like a few strokes over the tip of the nose where these bright areas are. I'm on my burn layer now. You can go over like things like the eyebrows and make them darker, and it just adds a little bit more depth to the face. And then you can come down here and dodge where this highlight is on his eyebrow, maybe a little bit on his eyelid. We'll do about the equal amount on the other one. There's an area here that can definitely be cleaned up a little bit. These lines right here. Sometimes, like when you're retouching photos, it's really hard to kind of like differentiate like what needs to be like retouched and left alone. Like sometimes I'm like, is that a freckle or a beauty mark or something? I have no idea. So you can always like turn these off and be like, does that look like a freckle? Like, oh, did you see that? There was an area like right here. Sometimes you can, if it's easier for you to kind of like see an area in color, you can go ahead and like do it. But I do think it's much easier to see everything in black and white. And we can like dodge that area a little bit more. And then we can now we can come in here with on our burn layer and kind of burn within this small area, and it'll even out that whole thing right here. That's a good start. Do keep your eyes like floating around the entire image because you'll start to go too far on certain areas. So I'm going to reset this upright. This is also like what I do. I'm just going to reset this, make it a lot brighter, not like hella bright. And then come down here. So now we're only going to be like focusing on I usually take this step like toward the end of like my entire dodge and burn process. And if you want to like see your work, you can hold down your option key and click on that mask and see like what you've done. And that looks really creepy actually. But it looks kind of cool. So now we can see a lot better. I usually don't recommend like starting this way. I definitely recommend kind of like building it up. So now you can see all of these areas right here on his forehead that you can kind of go through, even out, do some dodging and some burning, and it's going to make it look super, super clean. So now let's look at this area here. Now this is a super, super slow buildup. You try to be as precise as you can, but if you seem like you messed up, you can always undo it. You can always like erase it. Also do make sure that you're painting with a white brush, because you're on a black layer mask. But if you want to like erase something, you can like switch it to black and, put it back. It's kind of like your eraser. Or you can just use like the eraser tool. Let's come down to, we can like even, brighten up his lips a little bit. You have to go in like super, super precise on this. So now I'm just kind of doing just a couple brush strokes. You probably couldn't really tell that it made a difference, but when I do before and after, it'll make a pretty big difference. Now these darker areas here, like on his upper lip, we can lighten these up a little bit. And here, there, can just go around just like a tiny little bit. This will be easy to kind of see. Now, some people watching this may be like, "You're taking this way too far." You can take your pictures however you want to retouch your pictures is totally up to you. I like to make my pictures look clean. If you look at my portfolio, most of my pictures do look fairly clean. They've all been retouched by me. I don't think I've ever had to. I would love to hire a retoucher, to be honest. But there's just something about retouching that like I like. I feel like it just makes it mine. So now we'll do a little bit of burning here in these like small areas, just kind of even it out. Maybe go back to dodge. I'm constantly switching back and forth between my dodge and burn layers. Constantly. I do use frequency separation, but I do it very, very subtly, and I always do it after dodge and burn. Always. This is probably an area. Oops. I did not mean to do that. If you hit the tab key and everything just disappears, you hit the tab key. That's what happened. Now, when I was first doing Photoshop, I was like, what? I'm just Googling, why did this happen? You just hit the tab key. It's cool. Okay. We'll do some of this. No, just kidding. We're going to move somewhere else. It's much easier for you to like zoom out, which I do highly recommend doing from time to time so that you can see the whole picture. Because no one is just gonna come in here and examine your photo like this. But I do retouch all of my pictures as if they were going to be printed. So I just imagine, like, what if someone wanted to print this picture like really big? Like, what would you see? So I just that's just me. I just like to make my pictures look as clean as I can. I think it makes my work mine. I think it makes it look like my style. Okay. We can just do like maybe like a quick stroke. Couple quick strokes right down the middle of his nose to enhance that highlight. Maybe go on our burn layer and kind of just do a couple on these darker areas. Really gonna help like define his facial features. And we can turn this off. Now you can see we didn't really get to hit up like these shadow areas. But you can always like come in, change it back to color, or maybe put less contrast on it so that you can see these areas and then begin to work on those. So it really is a process. It really just depends on what area you're working on. And you'll have to make adjustments to your layers depending on what you're trying to do. So this is just what we've done so far, and I'm going to stop right here, but I would definitely take this further. I'm even going to show you the complete retouch and color grade that I did on this picture. It's up here in this folder right here. So I'll show you all of that. But this is before and this is after. So you can already see the direction that we're going in. This is before and this is after. So it already is starting to look really clean, really sleek, really nice. Just the way that I like it. I would take this a lot further. I would keep making multiple layers. zooming in and out, rotating my image, just looking at everything that I can clean up. I think all in all, I spent about 45 minutes on dodge and burn alone on this photo. And then I did some frequency separation and then a little bit of color adjustments and then a color grade and all of that stuff. Now, what you can also do, is, especially if you have like catch lights in your photo, this is when I would turn my flow up to 100% because our dodge layer isn't super, super strong. So you can kind of come in here and just do like one little touch on the catch lights and make them just a little bit brighter. And then we can do see that? I'll zoom in really close to his eyeball. Boom. I think I ended up actually getting rid of those specific catch lights. But you can do that. If you have catch lights in your photo, it's a good idea to kind of brighten those up a little bit to the point where they look natural. It puts a little bit of life in their eyes, and I think it looks great. So I'm going to turn this off, and I'm just going to move this up to the top, and also move this out of the way. And this is the completely retouched and color graded photo. This was the outcome that I had after cleaning and dodging and burning and doing frequency separation. This is what I ended up with. And I also did convert this picture. You can see all of my layers here. I did quite a few, and then some color corrections, and then a really nice color grade. I don't remember what this was. And then I think I ended up having to come back and do more dodging and burning for some reason, because I think I missed some spots. So I wanted to make sure that it looked, perfect before I sent it to him. And I did do a black and white copy also, and I think it looks amazing in black and white. I love the black and white picture. This shot in black and white is actually in my portfolio and will probably be in my portfolio for a while because I love it so much. But this is the complete before and after of my whole retouch. So I hope this video helps. If you have any questions, please feel free to leave a comment. You can follow me on Instagram at Donovan Cole Photo. Please subscribe to the channel for future videos. I really want to try and put out more retouching tutorials. So please just give the video a like, give me a subscribe, give me a follow on Instagram. If you're new to dodge and burn and you came across this video and you're practicing, you can mention me in a comment or send it to me if you want me to see it, and maybe I can help you with it or something. So please feel free. I'll do the best I can to help anybody. But yeah, thank you all for watching, and yeah, I'll see you guys around. Have a good day.